Captain of Go opens up on mega yacht's unexplained malfunction. Member of Parliament for the NA says that we need to be in charge of our own destinies. And Justice Committee of Parliament meets with the Minister of Justice regarding immigration. Those are the headlines for Wednesday, March the 3rd, 2021. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast, so let's get started. In our first story, the Justice Committee of Parliament met earlier today, March the 3rd, and the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Anna E. Richardson, by means of a PowerPoint presentation, spoke on the agenda points, which included what is the IBP, the Immigration and Border Protection Services, the situation on St. Martin, the organization, statistics of the IBP KPSM, the plan of approach, residence and admittance, as well as residence permit guidelines. The Minister of Justice asked for patience of all because the presentation was quite detailed. It is a bit to eliminate much misconception regarding certain topic areas as it relates to immigration matters, border control and management. She elucidated further.
Through you, Madam Chairlady, I would like to give some updates by means of a presentation to the members of Parliament as it pertains to the following agenda points. What is IBP, or Immigration and Border Protection Services? The situation on St. Martin, the organization itself, statistics of IBP and that of KPSM, residence and admittance, plan of approach, the Mutual Agreement on Strengthening the Border, or the ORVG, recently signed protocol, an update on the prison, and that would be the capacity or information or response regarding guards and inmate capacity at the prison. I am asking for the patience of all, as this presentation is quite detailed. It's in a bid to eliminate much misconception regarding certain topic areas as it relates to immigration matters, border control, and management. The Immigration and Border Protection Services, or IBPS, is a two-part organization: the administrative department, the investigative arm. The existence of IBP or the IBP department is regulated in the LEOL, Article 9, Sub C 3. The administrative department is tasked with the following: legal admissions of residency for persons that desire to live on St. Martin, carrying out lawful admissions as it relates to the admissions policy and the National Ordinance on Admissions and Expulsions, reference to the LTU, the implementation of the naturalization policy based on the Dutch nationality law, the implementation of the visa policy and their coordination with the Kingdom partners, the responsibility of the legal representation of the Minister of Justice in administrative proceedings. The investigative arm is tasked with the following: the enforcement of the National Ordinance on Admissions and Expulsion, the controlling of persons, passengers, documents at and around all border control posts, such as the airport, seaport, and inland, the refusal of entry to persons who do not meet the requirements to enter the country, the controlling of legal status of persons within the country, the removal of persons who have overstayed their visa and or visit. The authority of both the Residence and Admittance, Border Protection Services, and Mobile Control Unit is in Article 14 of the Ministry of Justice Organizational Decree. This article can be seen on the screen. Through you, Madam Chairlady, I would like to share a situation or a few situation analysis made by various institutions regarding St. Martin's immigration situation. In 2014, the Law Enforcement Council came up with a general conclusion and gave 6 recommendations as it pertains to the IBP department. The majority of these recommendations have not been taken up. According to the U.S. Department of State, St. Martin is listed as a 2-tier where human trafficking is concerned. This can also be seen on the screen. The U.S. Department of State stated that the government of St. Martin did not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant effort to do so. They also stated that the government maintained efforts to prevent trafficking. Government officials did not report updating the 2013 through 2018 National Action Plan during the reporting period. Although there is an existing border security agreement between the Netherlands, Curaçao, and St. Martin. As such, Madam Chair Lady, as you can see, even the United States of America has been and continues to pay attention to the agreements made regarding border control and the adherence thereof. In 2020, UNICEF conducted a situation analysis on children and adolescents on St. Martin. In their report, they stated that St. Martin has a high immigrant population, and for many it is non-native inhabitants. The island is an opportunity for informal employment in tourism and construction sectors, or a step to potential US or Europe-bound migration. Madam Chair Lady, this can also be the reason why the U.S. has rated St. Martin as a Tier 2 with regards to the human trafficking. Though St. Martin prides itself on being a home to more than 104 nationalities that are recorded at the Civil Registry, we must continue to ensure that the borders and this country is protected to the greatest extent.
Meanwhile, the CCSU has issued a statement on the CCSU Union's Review Justice Function books. The committee of the CCSU received a request in December of 2020 from the Minister of General Affairs and Minister of Justice to review draft function books of the Ministry of Justice for advice. In the opinion of the Minister of Justice, the committee could only provide advice on these function books. In reviewing the proposed function books, the unions pointed out several decisions that are in conflict with established legislation, such as Article 4 of the LIOL, all legislation regulating the ranks of justice personnel, all legislation regulating the MOT, all legislation regulating the functioning of the national detectives, and legislation regulating the functioning of the KPSM. As the Minister of Justice is proposing retraction of the function book of the KPSM and immigration, which is tied to the Rechtspositie KPSM, as such, this request is one requiring the consensus of the unions and not merely advice. Also missing was the legal advice of the Legal Affairs Department, which is considered critical when proposing amendments that deviate from established legislation. The unions also expressed their disappointment with the fact that the concept LBHAM contains information that is not under the proposed fit of the respective formation plans submitted. These differences result in the financial paragraph containing an inaccurate financial analysis. The release reads in part. And in other news at this time, Prime Minister the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, speaking at the Council of Ministers' weekly press briefing earlier today, said that she held an emergency meeting with the airport workers together with union members who wanted to express some of their concerns as it relates to the operations of the government-owned company.
Emergency meeting called with our minister. They came to the government building, some workers at the airport, together with union members, and they were able to meet with the Minister of TIA to express some of their concerns as it regards to the operations of this government-owned company. I would like to remind the general public, because I believe there are some very loud speakers in the media who are under the impression that government can unilaterally take decisions in government-owned companies, whether it be at the operation or the supervisory board level. Specifically with the airport, there are layers of governance. As a government, we are committed to improving corporate governance across the board, but specifically, the attention has been placed on the airport, and all stakeholders are working together to ensure that we have the best possible setup and monitoring, as well as support for these options. Things cannot happen ad hoc. we have to go through a complaint process from the ground up. So that has to go through the operating management, the supervisory board management, before it gets to the holding. And only when it's at the holding can government then have some input as to what happens. But basically, in good corporate governance, the operations of the company cannot be in the hands of government. We do monitor. We are, of course, responsible for certain aspects, especially where the airport is concerned, where safety, etc. And that's where the Minister of TIAD comes in. And hopefully she will be able to issue a press release on this matter in the coming days.
And in other news at this time, captain of the 77-meter-long mega yacht Go, Simon Johnson, has sought to dispel rumors, answer critics, and set the record straight in an exclusive interview with the Daily Herald by describing the moments prior to the yacht's sudden control malfunction in the crucial minutes of the line-up procedure to exit Simpson Bay Lagoon on Wednesday last February the 24th. He said the incident has inevitably brought his competence into question. The ultra-modern yacht, built in Turkey in 2018, is entirely computer-driven. Yet, for all the latest electronics and a bridge brimming with computer screens and displays, the software apparently failed the British captain at the worst possible moment, leading to his choosing a deliberate impact with the St. Martin Yacht Club wooden dock. A second run-in to the dock was caused by, yet again, a computer miscommunication between the bridge and engine room in a bid to regain control. Johnson confirmed that the yacht insurance assessors are progressing well in their survey of all the damage sustained to the boat, which is minimal, and the dock, and are engaged to set things right. That said, the root causes of the malfunction have not yet been definitely identified, and an intensive investigation is underway while the yacht remains at Ile de Sol Marina. Johnson said he is deeply upset by the incident, but not concerned for his own record. He has done 28,000 miles on Go during his 3.5 years as its captain. He has been in the business for 40 years, 35 as a captain, visited 276 ports on Go alone, and often maneuvered her in the tightest places. I'm very proud of my handling of yachts, he stressed. My biggest concern was not to stop the activity of the island, which I am very fond of, by taking out the bridge. I used to live here and have many friendships over the years. The fact that there were no warning alarms, no lights on board to indicate something was wrong was really scary. I know this yacht very well, yet I had 13 seconds to make a decision before hitting the bridge. The decision I made was one I would make again if faced with the same circumstances. Insurance assessors have arrived, as well as control systems people. The investigations are ongoing as to how an engine can be locked into gear and why it never showed up. New parts are being flown in. Johnson indicated the investigation should be concluded by the end of this week. We will not leave this dock until Lloyd Insurers approves the repairs, and then we will have to do a sea trial to check all of the systems. I might not be at liberty to share a conclusion yet with these investigations ongoing, but it is looking like a computer malfunction seized us into gear. We are, of course, confident this will be solved. He criticized modern electronics as getting ridiculously over the top, with no manual overrides or backups if something goes wrong. Go has 14 computers on the bridge and 2 more below deck. Questions have to be asked in this industry about what's going on. Who is building these boats? Who is designing them? And who is supervising them? And we aren't being asked what we, the captains, need to operate them, he said. The owner of Go released the following statement. The owner is extremely supportive of the captain's decision and performance. Personnel, economic, environmental disaster was averted for the island. I have full faith and confidence in the captain, and I am very grateful. And still to come, Sabre closes off first vaccination round, total tally at 1,328, the highest coverage in the kingdom. And I'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hi, I'm Switch.
And I'm Save.
And together we're here
to tell you about WIB, Switch, and Save Mortgage Offer.
Now at WIB, you can save and benefit from great specials when you decide
to bring your mortgage to WIB.
When you switch, WIB will offer you
payment of penalty fees up to 3 months interest,
payment of notary fees,
waive of bank closing fees,
and also the lowest interest rate.
Plus, you'll have the chance to win back 1 year of interest payment.
Visit any of WIB's mortgage specialists and benefit from WIB's Switch and
Hey, that's my part. And Save Mortgage Offer.
WIB, your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. As we continue now in other news, the question of the increase of the minimum wage was a topic of discussion at this morning's Council of Ministers weekly press briefing. The Prime Minister was asked about the increase of the minimum wage in relation to residence permits and the requirements. The Prime Minister said that the Minister of Justice was dealing with that same issue today.
They will be able to get it directly from the minister and her support staff as to, where that number came from, etc. What I can update on is that the ministries of TEA and VSA, all those related, are looking at, you cannot just ad hoc raise minimum wage. It affects everything. So while it is the intention to address cost of living on St. Martin, it requires a complete strategic plan. I do know that the Minister of TIAT updated yesterday in COM. We actually approved an advice as a Council of Ministers related to having a study done on pricing on St. Martin. So cost of living has to do with pricing, it has to do with rent, it has to do with utilities, all of that. So as government, we cannot take one decision that negatively impacts others. So there has to be a proper study done, whereas the cost of living is discussed. I can tell you from my years back in Parliament, the number 4,000 guilders used to be thrown out. I cannot tell you right now if it was something from an authenticated body that did the research or not, but government has indeed not determined what the poverty line is. And in order to talk about raising the minimum wage, you need to be able to determine what the cost of living actually is, what are the drivers of that, get controls where that is concerned, and then if the minimum wage is not sufficient, then that has to be adjusted. Because if we just adjust that, that will also negatively affect prices for those persons who are utilizing minimum wage to keep their prices where they are now, if that's the excuse you're using. So we cannot make ad hoc decisions. We will be looking at this strategically from all the ministries concerned.
And now in news out of the island of Saba, the first vaccination round on Saba was closed off on Monday, March the 1st, with a total tally of 1,328. This figure represents more than 85% of the adult population and over 70% of the total population in a fully COVID-free environment. The vast majority of about 1,500 adults on Saba went to the vaccination location at the Eugenius Johnson Center in the Windward Side from Monday, February the 22nd, until Monday, March the 1st. On February the 19th, Saba received 1,500 Moderna vaccines, enough to vaccinate the entire adult population. Saba currently has the highest coverage within the kingdom. It has done exceptionally good as well. We are up there with the highest coverage in the world, said a proud Dr. Koen Hulshoff, who heads the Saba Public Health Department. To compare, in Israel, which serves as a worldwide poster child for the high vaccination rate, 54% of the population has had at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Several factors contributed to Saba's success rate, explained vaccination coordinator Tadisha Gordon of the Public Health Department. The structure and the organization of the vaccination program contributed a lot, said Gordon. We have a strong, friendly, and efficient vaccination team. The process went very smooth. SABRE started early with providing information to its community about the safety of the vaccine and the vaccination process. More than 30 small and bigger gatherings were held with face-to-face encounters, including town hall meetings, visits to schools, churches, organizations, and private companies. The positive vibe also contributed to so many Sabians deciding to get the Moderna vaccine, with many people eager to get back to some sense of normalcy. The social media was used extensively, while the free transportation to and from the vaccination location was also a positive factor. In the next few weeks, SABRE will receive the subsequent batch of the Moderna vaccine from the Netherlands for the second round. The second vaccination round will take place late March. The release reads in part. And at the urgent Central Committee meeting of Parliament on the discussion of the country reform package's priorities and objective measures for 2021, which was held on Monday last, March the 1st, and was attended by the Minister of General Affairs, the Honourable Sylvia Jacobs, Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, the Honourable Solange Ludmilla Duncan, speaking about the country reform package, said that we need to be in charge of our own destinies. We need to make policy decisions about our country, but what she realizes now is that we did not set a vision for kingdom relations.
We need to be in charge of our own destinies. We, our own people, need to make policy decisions about this country. But what I realize now is that we did not set a vision for kingdom relations. So we didn't think about how we would be as a so-called autonomous country within a kingdom and how we would interact with that kingdom. And so here we are, 10 years after 10-10-10, and I'm hoping maybe in 10 years we can see another referendum. Our vulnerability as a small island state has brought us to this position. So we had Irma in 2017, and COVID-19 in 2020. And what happened? Well, here we are. We are in such a desperate position with our backs against the wall. Why? Because we need liquidity support. So our government has to agree, because our backs are against the wall. The glory days are gone. I do believe that we will see them once again, but definitely not anytime soon. And it is sad, but it is the reality that we face right now. So the country package is rooted in Article 38 of the Kingdom Charter that makes mutual agreements possible between the countries of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. But Article 38A talks about the need for arrangements for settling disputes. Yet, we are still here without a dispute regulation. In 2009, the three kingdom countries met, and along with other experts, shared their objections to the proposal that was on the floor at the time. In fact, our former Minister of Plenipotentiary, Dr. Anders Julien Huerta, not only talked about amendments to the proposal at the time, but she even talked about the fact that the Kingdom Council of Ministers missed or was lacking their own rules of procedure. Why is this important? Because we need to evaluate the kingdom. We're talking about country packages, but we also have to talk about the kingdom and the charter. We have to talk about the democratic deficits that exist everywhere. Okay, so we don't only need reforms in this country, but we need reforms in the kingdom as well. All of it should be discussed at the same time. What I believe is important is that our people hear all sides of the story. So some people might say 2 sides, some people might say 3 sides, right? Ours, the Netherlands, and the truth. But often our people don't hear all sides of the story. They see our politicians and the fact that they either, fail or not live up to their potential, but they don't hear what is happening behind the scenes in government, by the government of the Netherlands. And I believe that this information has to come out.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for March the 3rd, 2021, a relatively stable atmosphere and low moisture levels will continue to restrict precipitation across the region. The Atlantic high pressure system will maintain a gentle to moderate wind flow. Seas are expected to peak at 7 feet during this forecast period. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue exercising caution. So the outlook through Friday midday, fair to partly cloudy with a few brief showers possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, in our local COVID update, total of 27 active cases. And I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns.
The innovative Banco Matico Contactless Smart Card. Your Banco Matico Smart Card is now equipped with a contactless feature for payments, so get ready to tap and go. Contactless payments are fast, easy, secure, and accepted worldwide at all Maestro-enabled contactless terminals. Tap for transactions equivalent to or less than 100 NAF, or the US dollar equivalent. You will receive notifications via email anytime you tap. Tap, tap, and pay fast with WIB. For more information, visit our website at wib-bank.net. Tap and go with your partner in progress.
Welcome back, viewers. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, we will now turn to the local COVID-19 update. As of March the 2nd, there was one person who tested positive for COVID-19. However, 3 persons have recovered, bringing the total active cases to 27. The total number of confirmed cases is now 2,061. The Collective Prevention Services, CPS, are monitoring 27 people in home isolation. Currently, there are no patients hospitalized at the St. Martin Medical Center. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 remains at 27. The number of people recovered since the first case surfaced on St. Martin has increased to 2,007. 62 people are in quarantine based on contact tracing investigations carried out by CPS. The Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, VSA, the Airport Health Team, in collaboration with Healthcare Laboratories St. Martin, ACLS, have tested 2,527 travelers arriving at the Princess Juliana International Airport, while CPS has tested 19,228 people throughout the community. As the numbers continue to fluctuate, CPS will continue to actively execute its contact tracing measures. In an effort to control the spread of the virus on St. Martin, Minister Panaflak urges everyone to remain vigilant and wear a mask when in public places, practice 2 meters social distancing, sanitize and wash your hands frequently, and be cautious of large gatherings. And with that, everyone, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.